Misery loves company, so they say. And we observe this in the world around us. And in the gospel today as well, we see that misery loves company. For when the crowd of blind people had Jesus coming through their midst, and the one began to cry out, saying, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me," all the others told him to be quiet. But he cried out all the more, "Lord, have mercy on me." And so he who cried out was healed. Now you're looking at me funny, as though to say, "Father, you're getting the story wrong. There was only one blind man in the story, and everyone else could see." And in a sense, you're right. But I would ask you, do we not perhaps have the wrong definition of blindness? For at the end of the scene, this man who cried out for mercy had received sight, not only of the physical things of this world, but of the very face of God. The first thing that he saw was his Creator, whom he saw truly, whom he understood and recognized. If we define sight in this way, to see the light of God, to understand, to glory, and to rejoice, then indeed the story is, as I said, God came through a crowd of blind people, and only one of them called out, asking to receive his sight. And to him who asked, sight was given. But this reality that misery loves company, we see this elsewhere in our lives. I have heard it said that perhaps in this parish, perhaps in others, where the broken and wrong-headed tradition of receiving communion only infrequently has become the norm, where this is what we think is usual and correct. Anytime someone who has been taught correctly by the canons and the tradition of the church, anytime they go up week after week, the whispers begin. What did he do? Why is she always going? Has she committed some sin? Does she not understand? The mouths begin to run because misery loves company. Blindness likes blindness. We like to think we see and understand the world as it truly is. That the way we live our lives, the way we are accustomed to things being, is as it has always been and as it should be. Just as the people in the account in the gospel today. Now here is the miraculous thing. At the end of the scene, not only the man who had been blind had been granted his sight, but also all those around him, the same people whose voices had said, "Shut up, be quiet, don't make a scene, don't cry out, don't draw attention to yourself. Everything is normal, it's as it ought to be." All of those people, in addition to the man who had been blind and had been given sight and had seen his Creator, all of them as well had seen a wonder. They had seen the miracle. And the final words of the gospel reading, and they all glorified God. Through the prayer, the faith, the action of one person, everyone was changed, at least for a moment. This same reality holds true for us in all our lives. We go through our daily life and we are weighed down with the burden of how the world seems to be, concerned about tawdry and passing things. The groceries, the mortgage, the rent, the job, the bank, the money, the clothes, the appearance. All of these things we worry about. And then the people around us, the ones who are getting it wrong, who are making mistakes, who are screwing up. We try to think, how can I fix them? How can I change them? We become consumed with living in the world as it is. And sometimes we think we're doing right when we try to change it, not to be what it should be, but what we want it to be. Yes? And everyone else around us is doing the same, and we are all blind to the reality of God who is in our midst, who calls us to live in another way, who calls us to prayer and to self-offering and to love and to patient endurance, and who promises us that in this way, not that we will change the world, but that in this way, waiting on Him, looking to Him for salvation, in this way we will see Him change all things. This is the call of the gospel upon all of our lives today. We are assured, every one of us is blind. We cannot see the glory of God, which is even now present in our midst. But we hear the call. We understand dimly through our other senses that something is happening, that someone important is present. And if we can but individually, each ourselves, never mind everyone else, if we can learn to cry out with the voice of the blind man, Jesus, Son of David, Son of God, have mercy on me, then our eyes will be opened and we will see the glory of God. And in our transformation, in our being given sight, others will be blessed as well. If we wish to be a blessing to those around us, if we wish to find peace for ourselves, this is the only way. We must learn to call upon the Lord for mercy. We must learn to live our lives centered on His presence in our midst. We must learn to receive communion, to prepare for communion, to live our lives as communion with Christ. And He will change and heal and make us whole. And in us, He will transform and renew all things. Therefore, let us stand, let us approach the chalice, let us encounter Christ, and let us pray that we be given eyes to see, ears to hear, and mouths to praise the glory of God. Amen.